Hey guys, thanks for checking it out today. It's good to be back. Actually, it's been about 4 or 5 months since I put up my last video. Just been very busy with work and some other stuff, training, as well as painting. Been getting a tremendous amount of painting done across a high number of projects that I've been working on. My 6mm naps, two 6mm Napoleonic projects, one based similar to what you see down below in individual battalions, the other based in brigade size formation for Blucher, and also an 18mm Napoleonic project for a variety of different war games. As you know, a lot of people use 18mm, play a lot of different rule sets, so I have those based up as such. Another Napoleonic project I've been doing is 28mm, individually based for smaller, so I'm not doing too many 28mm naps, just enough to do some small skirmish games for songs of drums and shakos and sharp practice. There you go, is getting ready to slip my mind. So what we got down in front of us is one of my 6mm projects. This is for Ancients. Hail Caesar is probably the main one I play, but I also play some swords and spears. I've been looking into other rule sets and really haven't found one that really perks my interest, of course, except for DBA, which I'm a long-time player of, and I have based these to be suitable for either Hail Caesar or DBA and Sword and Spear. Now, Sword and Spear and DBA are going to use very specific basing methods. Sword and Spear, not so much specific, as long as they're the same frontage, which of course varies when you're playing Hail Caesar. They have the small, the tiny, small, regular, and large and huge units in there. So it's kind of a pain in the butt to base for those two systems, but I've gone ahead and done it, and I'll show you how I did that here in just a moment when we look closer at these. Anyway, back down to what I have here, and that is my 6mm Syracusan force, and this will go up against my Republican Roman army, which is almost near completion. I mean, it is a completed army at this point. I'm just adding to the size basically from here on out. So, but I do have enough for some small, good, decent size, fun battles. I mean, if these were 28mm figures, I would have a tabletop full ready to go. But that's not how I do it. I want to have huge battles, and that's why I went with 6mm on these, so I could have huge mass formations. What you see down below is just my intended start of this project of Syracusans, but of course these can all mix up. I have a Samnite army, a Carthaginian army, and the Syracusan army, so you can mix and match them to create different composition of forces. As such, in the Carthaginians, they may or may not use Gallic, Hispanic, or Samnite allies, Italian allies. So I have all these things that can be switched back and forth to create different forces and compositions, as I said. So it's going to add to a lot of variety on the tabletop and the battles I'm able to field. Overall, it's going to be a wide array, a wide scope of wars that I'll be able to reenact basically with my Republican Romans. I find that era of history of the Roman civilization the most fascinating. If you've listened, I don't know if many of you have listened to Titus Livy, but I've listened to his works extensively, especially the early books through the Punic Wars, through the early Samnite Wars, the foundation of Rome, going on through the first, second Punic Wars. Of course, the books, I think it's 11 through 19, when the first Punic Wars were recorded by Livy. They were lost, but there is kind of a summary of those still in existence, but they really do back up again, I think in book 20, somewhere around there, leading on into the Second Punic Wars in great detail, great account of what Hannibal did and the struggles he's faced crossing through the Alps and up into the Po Valley, and then going down into Italy from there in great detail. I just find that era of history fascinating for the Romans, and that's why I've chose to do that, to recreate the invasion of Sicily and the capture of such, and all throughout the Punic Wars. So eventually I will look forward to doing some triremes. I haven't decided on the scale yet. There's Langton Miniatures. I think they do a wonderful, beautiful ship. And I'm not looking into mass scale ancient sea battles, but maybe, you know, 6, 7, 7 to 10 ships each side, something like that. Something manageable, but big enough ships to where it's clear detail and they look good and fun to play. So anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here a lot from what I really came to talk about, and that is down in front of us. You can see out in front, the front main battle line is all Syracusan or Italian hoplites, whatever you would like to call them. And I do have a little space, a little gap in between each new unit, so you can see specifically exactly how large each unit is. They would be, I believe, 60 millimeters. Yeah, 60 millimeters at this point, which in my Hail Caesar scale, that would be a regular sized unit. If we were to take a look and compare a Roman Hastati unit, a Roman Hastati unit is 40 millimeters wide, thus being the small size. So in comparison to one unit, as you can see right here, the size difference is exactly 20 millimeters between a large and a small unit. So that is how I've done that. Now, I have also based these hoplites to be used, like I said, for sword and spear, because all units must have the same frontages. So if I was going to pit these hoplites up against the Romans in a battle of sword and spear, then, as you can see, I have based each unit on 2 separate bases. And this is was a pain in the butt to do, but it had to be done for what I was intending on using them for. So each unit of these hoplites is 2 bases, one 40 millimeter wide, one 20 millimeter wide. But this also has an extra advantage of, you know, when I'm playing DBA or sword and spear, each unit will have a base width of 40 millimeters. But I can also take the other 20 millimeter base of another unit, put them together, and boom, I got units. So, you know, nothing is being wasted here. It may, you know, make for a little bit more work when we're moving units around if there's 60 millimeter wide bases in Hail Caesar, whatever. Doesn't really matter to me. I like the look, and I enjoy all of those games, and I didn't really want to base multiple armies for 6 millimeters so I could, you know, use them in all those battles. So I figured that way around it would be the most efficient, and I think, honestly, I think they look very good. And I'm pretty satisfied with the way they've come out. Let's see if I can get some focus on here, and perhaps, yeah, it's going to focus there. So there's an example of some of the hoplites there, or hoplites, depending on your pronunciation. So there is one stand of them. Show you another stand just for kicks. Come on, focus. There we go. And as you can probably tell, these are hand-painted shields on there. Yeah, required a lot of patience and to get done, and I found it kind of arduous. Not too much though, you know, obviously I got them done, so it wasn't that big of a deal, but, you know, when you're painting this many hoplite shields that small, it can get old. So, you know, I got a lot of other projects to switch in between World War II. Like I said, all my Napoleonic projects and stuff going on. So a lot of stuff to keep me involved and to keep me motivated. Switch back and forth between projects so I don't get burnt out on any single thing. I won't show you each hoplite unit individually. I just wanted to show you a couple of them. And now we can go ahead. I do have one more unit that I want to show you, and this is going to be the Syracusan Guard unit. Come on, focus. There we go. So I chose to make these guys obviously stand out with all green shields and the wreaths on their shield. So, and of course I have the other 20 millimeter stand for them as well, so you can put them together, full 60 millimeter stand. Right back there in the line, you can see, and you can see they stand out pretty well compared to the multicolored hoplites that you see down in the front rank. The guard unit back there is pretty easy to spot with its all green shields. Also, we have a single commander unit that I've completed. This is commander on foot. If we can get the focus in, come on. There we go. So, I think he came out pretty good. I was satisfied with him. He has a standard bearer and a bodyguard with him. This probably won't be the main general of the army, but he will be a commander, of course. Well, I like the way he came out. Now, let's have some skirmishers done. Let's start off with the bows. So I have a couple unit of archers here. We're going to focus. There we go. So there's some archers right there. And all of my archers that I did are regular. They have the white, basically drab colored tunics. I did a single stand of Cretan or Cretan archers, and these guys have white and red tunics, so they stand out from the other archers and make it easy to spot. These guys are a little bit more powerful than their other brethren down there. And then I have javelin men, skirmishers, light infantry. I have yet to put the grass on their bases. I just put the dirt on there this morning, so I want to let it dry really good before I start rubbing more glue on there and sticking stuff on it and tapping it off, etc. So anyway, I have several units of skirmishers, and that is what I have done as of this point. My next project is going to be, I have some cavalry to do. I have Numidian cavalry. I have Italian cavalry. And I have Tarentine cavalry. I think that is the extent of the cav that I have to do. Of course, all those can be used between the Samnites, the Syracusans, and the Carthaginians as well. And I think I mentioned I have some Gauls to do, as well as some Spanish. And eventually I'll be doing full armies in those sizes because, the Carthaginians fought the Spanish extensively, as well as the Gauls. They fought the Syracusans. The Romans fought the Carthaginians, the Syracusans, the Samnites, the Gauls, the Spanish. So, it's going to be a giant Royal Rumble once I got all these forces done. And they are coming along very nicely and at a decent pace. But like I said, I'm switching around, jumping around my projects to keep that motivation going. I see people posting, they're just getting massive amounts of miniatures done in one sitting, and I don't see how they do it. I commented on one post the other day. I think it was on the Napoleonic War Gamers, or maybe the Tabletop Commanders forum. Somebody had finished like 140 Austrian infantry and like 70 cav or something like that, and a couple guns in 1 month, and they were 18 millimeter ABs, and I'm painting French 18 millimeter ABs right now. And even if I'm sitting down every day, granted I work full time, I train jiu-jitsu every day, etc. That's all excuses. I paint every day. I put in work every day at the painting table, and it took me 30 days, took me a month to finish 1 battalion of French infantry, 36 figures, and almost 1 complete squadron or regiment, whatever you want to consider it, of cuirassiers, French cuirassiers, and that was like 12 miniatures. So, 12 cavalry and 36 infantry took me a month. Granted, they are my first time painting detailed Napoleonics. The only Napoleonics I painted up until this point was 6 millimeter. So it was a big step, going another step further, deeper down into that rabbit hole for uniform research and painting techniques, etc. So maybe I'll speed it up a little bit, but I don't see myself getting that much faster, not to where I can put out 200 miniatures in a month. I don't know what kind of drugs you guys are doing. You guys are putting out miniatures that fast. I wish I could do it like that. Even on my best, if I really put in work on the 6 millimeter side, I can spit out a decent. I can put out that kind of number of 6mm, I can put out, you know, 200 or 300 infantry in a month, if I really put my effort into it, that is. So anyway, at this point, I'm just complaining, I guess. I don't know. Not really. You know, I enjoy painting to a point. It depends what I'm painting. Sometimes it's just a task, a job, it feels like. Other times I have a lot of fun. The 18mm AB, I've been having fun doing it. So, you know, I feel motivated to continue on that. And I'd like to take breaks and paint up some of my Dungeons & Dragons stuff, which I play regularly with a group. So, yeah, it's good to be able to paint something from a completely different genre and a larger, you know, figure that you can focus on just that one miniature, and that really kind of breaks up the monotony, I think, of painting, you know, what I got down below me, 500 hoplites or whatever, in 6mm, and yeah. So anyway, guys, that's what I wanted to show you. It was my Syracuse forces here. I'm going to zoom in. I don't think that zoom works really great. I think that looks really grainy on this phone here. So yeah, I still need to invest in a better camera here at some point. But anyway, guys, that's it. I appreciate you taking the time to check this out and watch it. So stay safe, guys. I'll see you later.